I actually have no idea if the audio for this is any good because my headphones don't gel with my camcorder. So, apologies in advance. So, a few years ago, I went through something of a heartbreak. I won't bore you with the details, but I did what any lost and confused 20-something would. I raided my savings. I begged, borrowed, and stole from friends and family until I could scrape together enough money to go off and do something new and exciting. My journey would take me from the southwesternmost tip of England to the northeastern shores of Scotland, a pilgrimage taken by cyclists, motor enthusiasts, and generations of travellers seeking out the real Britain. The Land's End to John O'Groats route, also called end to end, can be taken in either direction, though I opted to start where most do, a little Cornish tourist trap with some stunning hiking trails out on the seaside cliffs. I had decided early on that I would do most of my journey by train, simply for the novelty of it. But Land's End is not connected to any railway, so my journey began by bus. Well, eventually it did. Eventually. Unlike Land's End, Penzance is a proper fishing town, with a vibrant local culture. What it lacks in picturesque green cliffs, however, it more than makes up for in local wildlife. Even though Cornwall as a whole is known for its natural beauty, there was one town that simply demanded a stop for a ludicrous project which brought tropical heat from Africa, Asia, and Latin America into the wet and chilly hills of southern England. The Eden Project. Surrounded by lush gardens, the Eden Project houses two massive biomes, one filled with Mediterranean plants and the other a tropical rainforest. The heat and humidity is a shock to the system for many British visitors, hence a cooling room in the centre of the biome. It also wasn't great for my camera, which was constantly fogging up, but despite the crowds, it was a beautiful stroll through a garden which felt a lot like my native KwaZulu-Natal childhood home. Before leaving Eden though, I just had to get a better view of these massive bubble-wrap domes, to truly appreciate the scale of this terraforming project. Now, I'm not by any means an adrenaline junkie, and I admit I paid way too much for this, but the Eden Project zipline was truly breathtaking. My last must-see stop on my tour of southern England took me to a place that has long captivated my imagination. Situated on the aptly named Jurassic Coast, Lyme Regis is a town obsessed with one thing. Spending 2 days in and around Lyme, I had planned with my very limited equipment to look for fossils on the ever-eroding seaside cliffs, where paleontologists have been making amazing finds for hundreds of years. The fossils on the beaches are so numerous that, unlike many other places, it is perfectly legal to pick up and keep almost anything you find. The alternative would be to let them erode into the ocean, lost forever. But to actually find something that I could pick up and carry home, well, that was a little bit tougher than I had expected. Finally, a little shell on a bit of chalky stone stuck out to me. Not much, but with the weather worsening, I decided to leave the beach and enjoy the town's ancient history from drier settings, as well as speak to a man who knew a thing or two about the rocks in the area.
So this is, it's an oyster. An oyster, we could call it pecten. But interestingly, this has come from quite high up in the cliffs. So this has collapsed down from the greensand drape running across the top. So this is mid-Cretaceous, 100 million years old. I think there's a combination of three main events that make the place so good for the fossils. And the first main event happened about 200 million years ago, when all of this was covered by this vast inland sea called the Tethys Ocean, which was warm, shallow sea, lots of nutrients in it, supporting a vast amount of wildlife. The place is just teeming with marine life. But when those creatures died, so you had all of these river systems pouring lots of mud out into that sea. So the creatures died and they got covered by this soft mud, which protected them all. So you got this vast amount of wildlife preserved, very deep, brought back up to the surface. And then the third main event that makes the place so good is happening right now, because of course you got wet out on the beach, it's raining, and that water goes into the rocks and it soaks in and causes the cliffs to collapse at an enormous rate. So you get catastrophic collapse, bringing new fossils out for us to walk along and find. So large amounts of creatures, well preserved, catastrophic natural erosion, and it just makes the place paradise if you like the fossils. I worked in industry for a long time as a paleontologist, so I knew all about fossils, but just by chance the building that my museum's housed in came on the market, an old congregational church where the great pioneering fossil hunter Mary Anning was baptised, and I saw the building and I thought I could do something with that. Mary Anning, of course, pioneering fossil hunter. She found the first of the marine reptiles, the ichthyosaurs, just down on the beach, maybe 400 yards away from where we're standing now, the first ever ichthyosaur. But some of the ministers used to collect fossils, which they sold as part of their way of generating an income. That's the congregational church, which is what this used to be, are very much creationists in their approach. They think that the Earth was created 4004 BC or whenever it is, and they'd be totally anti-evolution. So a great contrast between certainly what I'm doing, but it doesn't have to be a big drawback. I remember meeting the last minister, and the two of us, we sat outside in the sun and we talked about things, and we got on brilliantly. We talked for a good hour, and we enjoyed each other's company, so long as we appreciated that there were some things that we could never have agreed on, so we could just stay clear of those and talk about the other things that we'd be happy with.
Getting the bus back to the nearest station, I happened upon the most amazing man. The bus driver, hearing my South African accent, called me to the front, and for much of the trip we chatted about South Africa, the merits of socialism, and the need for nationalised public transport across the UK.
What happened with neoliberalism? All the facilities, like the electric, the gas, your water, your buses, your trains, were sold off to people with money. Now, I owned all those things previously. You and I owned all those things if you lived here. And it was sold to people with money. And now, these are not run for public service, they're run for profit. So you've currently, in the last 10 years, you've got bus services slashed, fares gone up by 22%. It's all about coin. I don't believe that public services are best served by private enterprise. They need putting back into the public's hands, which creates further jobs, lowers the prices, because the competition is not working. There is no competition.
As I got off the bus, he gave me, somehow, a wad of South African rands to spend on a beer. Wherever you are, comrade bus driver, cheers. With the beauty and nature of southern England behind me, and the myth of the Brits as unfriendly and ungenerous thoroughly debunked, I now made my way north on the next leg of my journey. Now, this video is not a documentary. It's just something that I put together to tell of my travels. But I hope that I've piqued your interest, and that you will join me next time as we head to Wales and meet some truly astonishing people.